Alrighty, it's 6:31, November 28th. It is Tuesday in this little quiet digestion consolidation week. I know sometimes you have to control yourself. Sometimes there's just not a lot of action. Sometimes you need to let the market go sideways and not overdo it. And some people did overdo it a little bit yesterday, including me. Sometimes self-control is more important than X's and O's. But anyway, my name is Scott Redler. I am the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com. We are post-Thanksgiving, pre-Christmas, pre-data. Next week's lots of data, right? CPI, jobs report, FOMC. So wouldn't it make a little sense just to kind of consolidate, go sideways a little bit this week? Some things go up, some things go down. Doesn't that sound very sophisticated? Anyway, so if you look at the chart of the S&P cash, all we did is for 3 sessions in a row go a little sideways, let the 8-day catch up after a massive move from 41.03. So the high is 45.68. The low here is what, 45.45. We're within this range. In order to get to the 8-day, which would still be healthy, what do you got to do? You got to get below and stay below 45.45. Don't know if that's going to happen. We're flattish today, but we shall see. You go to the SPYs, which is the backbone of the market. You have 454.08, right? In order to get to 452-ish, which is the 8-day moving average, which has been support since, late October, got to get below and stay below 454.08. And then you have the 8-day. Not saying we're going to. Right now, the SPYs are just chilling here at, down 2 cents. So, if the market's quiet, don't do much. Anyway, you look at the Qs. Qs seem like, they're a little tired, but ultimately hanging out above 387.98. This was the prior 2 highs. In order to see the 8-day here, it's got to get below 388.29, and then you don't have much to the 8-day, which also has been support. Any of you guys read my book about the 8 and 21-day moving average? I've had it out there for a bunch of years. I've done different versions of it. Mikey, my boy, my editor, my boy. Can't call people anything like that anymore. We've done a bunch of evergreen type of YouTube videos. If you go to YouTube, Scott Redler T3, there's about 15 of them. Everyone complains about college tuition and everybody wants freebies. Well, hey, there's a lot of videos there that don't cost a dime. Will cost you some time. So the 8 and 21 shows you how once you're above it, you're in a strong market, you try and be in some kind of portfolio approach so you can massage positions, let the market make you money besides having to be so tactical. Right here is when, we took back the 8-day, which was November 1st, which was like 453. Look at that. How many points? 40 points in the S&P higher. You think you could have made money there? But anyway, so we'll see if we touch it and hang out there. Small caps hung in there, went sideways, acted pretty well. So as long as we hold this 177 area, I do think there's a chance that come, end of December into January, we at least clear 181 to see this, 185-ish area. That was a sell then. Now it's probably going to be resistance. So what would be nice? It would be nice if, we hold here a little bit more, trade through 179.73, take back the 200-day EMA, and get towards 185. So next week you have a lot of data coming out. So what I would suggest is maybe come Wednesday-ish, I started a little bit, start accumulating some calls for next Friday. Obviously you could trade the IWMs, but the way the market moves when data comes out, it moves so damn fast that you have to have some kind of option strategies on because you won't be able to catch it. You're not a computer. So what you could do is you could buy some 179s. You can go out to, you can go out to the 8th, or you could spend a little less money and buy the 181s and go out to the 8th, and then see how it goes. Depends on how much money you want to put there. And then obviously some guys are talking about the XBI. XBI is hanging in there also. Here's a 200-day in the XBI. You could probably, what I would do with the XBI is I'd go out till the first week of January or so, because that's truly when the January effect kicks in and the buyers have been, abused. So maybe buy the 75s by 77 and a halves for somewhere out there in in January, which could be, go maybe January 5th or go January 12th. If you want to spend less, you could go out and buy the 77s for that. What I like to do sometimes is I like to buy when we're going sideways. You buy like the 75s and it gets through 75, goes to 76. It's in motion. Then you sell the strike higher and it finances your call spread. So you're putting less money up. But those are just some thoughts for the next month or so. Tactically, tech is now a little, it's very specific. Some mega cap of the Mag 7s are making new weekly and monthly highs, while some are testing the 8-day, some are pulling in more. Everything's taking their turns. You do have some small caps working. Yeah. Like I said, it's about self-control. Yesterday, for some reason, I was a little impulsive and I bought Tesla really fast. I saw that Elon went to Israel to make amends, and I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but P.S., it was opening up, and to me, it felt as if Tesla was going to, get through this 238.75 and give you a really nice trade. Cybertruck events on Thursday, blah, blah, blah. And I bought way too much of it when it was up like $1 and change, and then went down too, and I lost some money and lost, how much I paid for my first car in 1986. No, I'm kidding. I lost a few $1,000s real fast. And at this point, it's kind of set up here. I'm looking for setups. It doesn't mean it's going to go. But if it were to get above this 238.75, there's a quadrant here, and then really you have 243, 246. The Wall Street Journal is beating up on Tesla about what it's going to take to deliver the Cybertruck. At this point, it's pretty tight. It's choppy. Just know what you're going to handle. What you could do is, if you want to go out like a week or so, just go out and buy yourself like the 242.5 options. If you think it's going to take out this kind of massive descending trend line, which it's been trapped in. Doesn't say it doesn't have to, but it's been trapped there for such a long time. Then maybe just go out and buy some options, do a call spread, so this way you're not worried about missing a move. You should never really be worried about missing a move, but as traders we all are. So who are we, say we aren't? So anyway, you could do it that way. So you have like a mini wedge on top of a bigger wedge, and then if you go to the weekly chart, Tesla's definitely lagging a bunch. I haven't looked at a weekly chart in a while. I guess you can go something like that, and now you can put this down here, and as long as this holds in here, hey, maybe there's a chance that this does want to do something better. Tesla still, everyone's like, oh my God, what a big year Tesla had, but P.S., Tesla's still, almost 50% off of the highs. Not like a Microsoft that, made new highs. Look at that. What a move in Microsoft, right? Microsoft has been the friggin' awesome name, and took out this spot, and still trending. Go to the daily chart, but the daily chart's getting a little choppier. The daily chart still fine, but definitely harder to sink your teeth. That's what traders like to do. We like to sink our teeth into things and then piece them out. But right now, after 4 weeks of upside, it's hard to do that and hard to find that. And if you're doing that, you're doing it with a laggard, and that's not what you should be doing. But anyway, here's what Microsoft looks like. Look at this quinky dink. Been above the 8-day this entire time. Hit 380.63. Just got to kind of trade around it. Amazon finally hit a new weekly high. Meta came under a little pressure yesterday. They shouldn't be selling to kids under 13. Anyway, we'll see what happens here. Stock took out this little area, got below 336.70. So now it's at the 8-day. The question is, does it want to retest the breakout area or not? What's Meta doing this morning? Meta is down to 10 cents. So what does this tell me? Sometimes you say, what is this telling me? Right? I don't care what the analysts say, or the gurus or the furus or the people who make believe traders on TV. What you want is to look at the leaders, and this leader is telling me that an upper flag type pattern could go below a prior low, maybe even get below the 8-day and come a little bit lower. So does that mean the Qs could do that? Well, it could, right? If Meta's been one of the biggest stocks out there for the past multiple weeks. So you have to be a little careful saying, hey, if they're letting Meta break the 8-day, why can't we at least test the 8-day in the Q? So that tells you have to be a little bit more careful. Same thing with the SPYs. SPYs aren't even at the 8-day. So, sometimes you take some cues from some leaders, cues, a little bit. But then again, you have Microsoft, or so if Meta could do it, maybe Microsoft will at least test it. So that just at least gives you some thoughts on self-control, on pricing and tier size, right? And then you have Apple. So what did Apple do? Apple actually came down to the 8-day. So if Meta could break the 8-day, right, and Apple could touch the 8-day, why can't maybe the spies and the Qs? Just saying. I wouldn't be shorting it into that. I'm just saying be careful for the next few days as we are in no man's land waiting for the markets to consolidate. The oscillator was plus 55. Now the oscillator is like plus 33. So a little bit further down, and then maybe we get back more towards neutral, and then at least we're not overbought. So with that being said, now you'll see, does Apple hold 188.90, go sideways, and then, this is where the all-time high is. So if the buyback wants to kick in and nobody wants to take profits in Apple because they don't want to pay their taxes in 2023, at some point when the market wants to wake up, I do think this is something you can go to. So I've been watching it. I had a really nice trade here from 177 into that spot. As far as small caps, right, guys, Square. Anyway, a lot of guys are like, hey, Red Dog, what a freaking great call you had on Square. I'm like, thank you. It was good for me too. I bought Square with this pro earnings gap, bought options, and I've been riding it all the way up to the point where it finally hit the 200 EMA, which was one target. Remember, I showed you that, and I showed you the weekly chart, and PS, that's 62. This is 81, and anyway, Square's been a good piece of business. That's the beauty of this business, is that you could find some kind of setup that turns into a sequence and you can make really good money. And I didn't trade Square once last year, and then all of a sudden in the past month, Square has been one of my biggest winners just because it's been acting well and acting special, right? It held the 8-day this entire time, whereas Palantir made us good money but looks different, right? Palantir on this day gave you a Red Dog reversal sell, right, after holding it from here, and that was our out. And then it was different. Within that same realm, did Square do that? No, I think Square on that same day put an inside bar and held in much better. So the candlesticks could tell you a different kind of story versus the TVs also. So anyway, that's why I stayed with that and didn't stay with Palantir. You know what else is really good? Shop. Shop was a pro earnings gap, okay, with a descending trend line, gapped up above prior resistance and turned into a great trade. Put it in as a power play. I have a power play subscription where I just tell you what to do and put a stop in, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This was one of them. Got out of it yesterday. Wow. So imagine you buy it, sell it here, and then sell it there, and it's done. Well, that's what some of the power plays did. Not all of them work like that, but anyway, pro earnings gap over descending trend line, boom. So that trade is over. Okay, right? You don't have to be in everything. Sometimes you get out of trades early. Like I get out of Netflix early. People are like, Red Dog, what the hell's the matter with you? You should have just trailed it. Okay, I should have just trailed it. You're right. And look at the size of that move in Netflix. Netflix also had a pro earnings gap. This was also a power play. I think we put on right around here. And I took mine off into this thinking that was it. Little topping tail, blah, blah, blah. Took out the meat of the move, and PS, that happens. Don't be upset about missing portions of moves. As long as you take out a nice chunk, and you can chew on it, and then move on, you're fine. You don't need to be in everything to net money and make a living, and you don't need to take the entire move out of things. But you're right. It was above the 8-day this entire time. I should just rolled up my stops. Listen, I'm not perfect either. I'm far from perfect. Anyway, I did follow some of my rules. Some guys are like, Red Dog, when are you going to Florida for your Ragnar race? I leave Thursday morning, so there will be no 6:30 club on Thursday and Friday. Maybe I'll do a video from the swamp in Tampa because that's what they were running through with alligators and whatnot. But about 3 weeks ago, I said this is what I'm going to follow. This is going to be my plan to get in race shape. And guess what? It's 2.5 weeks later. I weighed myself today 181. I was 191 3 weeks ago. I said no beer, no bread, no French fries, and no chips, and was able to hold and follow my plan. That's what builds mental toughness, making promises to yourself and keeping it. Listen, if you can't control what you're going to eat or what you're going to drink or whether you make your bed, how are you going to control yourself with bigger decisions out there? So, one thing you could do, I'm not going to talk about New Year's resolutions, is write down 5 things you want to do in the first quarter of next year and be accountable to those 5 things. If you become accountable to those 5 things, like, wow, I could follow my plan. It builds a little bit of confidence. Versus if I said, hey, I'm not going to have beer, and 2 days later I'm friggin' at lunchtime having IPAs and steak sandwich, I'm like, oh shit, I couldn't even friggin', follow my plan for X. Anyway, small little things, you have to do. Little games you got to play with yourself to know if you're in control of your actions. And as a trader, you have to be in control of your actions. You have to make split decisions. You have to have confidence. You have to be prepared in anything in life. Okay, even if you're, whatever you do, right? But anyway, so at this point, Netflix actually looks good. It's going sideways. What a leader. The prior high here is 485. They call this like the frozen rope. It's on the frozen rope, riding it up, and until it breaks, you try and stay with it. Now you can even move this up the 8 days higher. What a moving coin, right? Guys like Red Dog, this made their year. Why? Because it got above 84 and 88, and it's been above the 8 day. They just showed you like 5 different types of stocks. And what was the constant? The constant was they were above the 8 day moving average. Dips were buyable into the 8 day moving average, and they made higher lows and higher highs, which is what makes you money. Again, the TV set over here is not going to be on until 9:05. I'm about to turn on some music. Alexa, play 80s rock. Let's see what she comes up with.
Playing 80s rock by Los Neto from
Let's see, what do you think? It's a little slow. Anyway, I got a little better. So what do? I sit here, finish the 6:30 club, then I do about 40 charts. I do 7 sectors. I write little if-thens for them, and then I do the Mag 7, and then I do some semis, and then I do some one-offs, and all of a sudden I raise my head, it's 8 o'clock, and then I do another morning call for Brother All Access, and then it's 8:40. Instead of having my iced coffee, I get my green drink, a ginger shot, walk around, stretch out, and then I get ready to get back on the radio and get ready to trade. That's my morning. You gotta like your morning routine, so this way you can do it every day. If you don't do it every day, you're never gonna be prepared. If you're not prepared, you're not gonna execute with confidence. And sometimes more than the X's and O's, it's self-control, right? Self-control. The cookie's on the counter and you're only allowed 1. There are 4 there. Take 1, not all 4. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. It is November 28th. You're almost done with November. Some people had fantastic months. I had a pretty good month. I was a little off my high water mark. I caught in a few things in October. So it feels good. If you start to focus on the next setup, think clearly, net money, next trade. Remember that whole mantra that we came up with kind of like I stole that from Rocky and Creed. Remember, when 1 punch, 1 round, move forward. That's what we turned into. 1 trade, net money, next one. And then all of a sudden it adds up. That's how you get out of a little bit of a rut, and that's how you start to think a little bit, more positively. So anyway, you're going to start hearing so many different, prognosticators talk about what they think is going to happen next year. You read some articles, everybody was wrong last year. I think the average major guru said the S&P would close at 4,000, and I would think 75% of them had between 3,200 and 3,600. Anyway, so you'll start hearing what everyone thinks for next year, which I'm going to do also, but it's just a thought, just 25 years of trading through the end of the year into the next year, using a little common sense and trying to figure out multiple plans. And then when the market confirms one of the plans, that's when you get aggressive. Not when you put the multiple plans out there, it's when the market confirms and you have the visibility. And the markets do give you visibility based on the action. So with that said, though, for today, if you look here, the IWM down 2 cents, SPYs down 15 cents, the Qs doing a whole lot of nothing. So it's going to be a quiet type day. We'll see. Do we hold higher? Do the SPYs and the Qs hold yesterday's low? Do we break them and probe below and see the 8 day? Do we break them and come back above them and just go side? These are things you think about prior. Where will the specific action be? You know what? NVIDIA yesterday was it decent? A little tight range. Doesn't mean NVIDIA is going back to the highs, but NVIDIA held. Remember yesterday, I'm like, will NVIDIA hold 476-ish, which was the prior 2 pivot lows there, and it did give you a nice trade. Today, NVIDIA is flattish. It was down $1. I was thinking about adding some before. Where could it get to? I don't know. 489 is here, so you're still in this upper area. Okay, with all the the banter. But bottom line, yesterday was a pretty good trade. A lot of guys made some good, quick cash money, but if you went back to it, it was difficult. Sometimes if you make really good money in the first 20 minutes, which is where I make a lot of my money, just don't go back to the trade. Or if you do it once or twice. Don't get chopped up. There's a time and a place for everything. Right? Didn't your parents tell you that? Time and place. Thanks for tuning in, and have a good day today, guys. See you guys later. It's getting cold out there, which is good. I'm starting to feel my two fingers again. These two fingers get really, 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 throbby when my ice barrel gets to about 34 degrees, and 3 of my toes feel like they're about to fall off. But that's what makes a good morning. See you guys later.